Hi, and welcome to the 700 Club. I'm Andrew Knox in for Gordon Robertson. Israeli forces nearly captured Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar in an underground hideout in Gaza. An IDF general says the terror leader fled minutes before their arrival, leaving behind hot coffee and piles of cash.
This as Israelis gather in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv to pray on a historical day of great mourning, all while bracing for an attack from Iran and its proxy armies. CBN's Julie Stahl has that story.
Despite the threats on multiple fronts, tens of thousands of Israelis gathered to pray in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv for the commemoration of Tisha B'Av. It's a day on the Hebrew calendar when throughout history disasters fell upon the Jewish people, including the destruction of both the First and Second Temples and the start of World War I. Beginning Monday, the prayers continue through today and include the reading of the Book of Lamentations. The observance even more significant this year as Israel faces imminent threat of attack from Iran, Hezbollah, and other Iranian proxies in the region. The IDF is ready to take preventative action if necessary.
We attack all the time and remove threats as soon as we detect them. We are at peak readiness for this mission.
Israel's defense minister says the Jewish nation is ready.
We are in the days of vigilance and preparedness. The threats from Tehran as well as Beirut may come to fruition.
The U.S. agrees with Israel's intelligence warning that a wave of major attacks could come at any moment.
We have to be prepared for what could be a significant set of attacks.
On the northern border, Hezbollah appears to be readying for war. Lebanese media reports the terror group has evacuated its Beirut headquarters. President Biden joined the leaders of Germany, France, Britain, and Italy in a joint statement on the situation. We expressed our support for the defense of Israel against Iranian aggression and against attacks by Iran-backed terrorist groups. We called on Iran to stand down its ongoing threats of a military attack against Israel. In Gaza, Israeli forces say they came close to delivering a major blow against Hamas. An IDF general reveals forces were just minutes away from reaching Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar in his underground lair. Hot coffee and piles of cash left behind by the occupants. This as Israeli leaders engaged in an open spat. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accused Defense Minister Yoav Gallant of adopting an anti-Israel narrative after Gallant criticized Netanyahu's talk of absolute victory. Netanyahu says it's a clear goal that everyone is obligated to support. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Thank you, Julie. And staying with news from the Middle East, as Iran and Hezbollah ramp up their threats, Israel's emergency services are preparing the nation for large-scale attacks. Ephraim Graham has more from the CBN newsroom. Ephraim?
Andrew, the National Emergency Medical Service is preparing hospitals, clinics, personnel, and entire communities to deal with the fallout from an attack. CBN correspondent Chuck Holton has an exclusive look at how the National EMS team is getting ready for any scenario.
You've heard of the Red Cross, but in Israel, it's the Red Star of David that's saving lives. Magen David Adom, or MDA, is Israel's premier ambulance and blood service. With a force of over 30,000 volunteers, they're on the front lines of Israel's defense against terror.
So ever since October 7, 2023, Magen David Adom has been preparing for a large-scale war in Israel. We understand that, first of all, maybe international assistance will be blocked because the airport will be closed. So we have stored medical equipment, water, and food rations for many months ahead.
MDA's arsenal includes more than 1,500 ambulances, hundreds of motorcycles, and even boats and helicopters. They're not just preparing, they're ready for war.
We train our people to work in what we call an isolated island scenario, meaning those are the ambulances that you have. This is the manpower that you have. Now, think of how you respond better without having the umbrella of the entire organization.
As they seek to help Israel be as prepared as possible for whatever might happen in the next few days, Magen David Adom is doing a lot more than just providing ambulance services and first aid training. They're also stockpiling things like this generator in different spots all around the country in case there's a nationwide power outage because of the attacks. MDA isn't just waiting for attacks. They're empowering Israeli citizens to defend themselves.
We train communities, we equip them with medical equipment, so if, God forbid, they are attacked, they can respond first.
In the face of these threats, MDA is leveraging cutting-edge American technology to save lives.
We are using AI features in order to send ambulances automatically without the intervention of a human, done very, very quick. We use a machine learning processes in order to predict where the next call will come from.
And as Israelis watch the skies tonight, MDA is as prepared as it can get.
We are in a standby, as nobody really knows what will happen. And we do understand that if Iran will retaliate from 5 different fronts, this might cause damage in a colossal magnitude. This might cause hundreds, if not thousands, of wounded. And this is why everyone are preparing.
Chuck Holton, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Here at home, we head to the West Coast where an earthquake rattled Los Angeles and parts of Southern California yesterday.
As we have a bit of an earthquake here in Los Angeles.
That's an earthquake. That's an earthquake.
Oh, wow, that is a real earthquake.
Whoa, that is a real one, guys. All right.
Whoa. That is real.
Cameras captured ESPN hosts live on the air when the 4.4 earthquake struck. U.S. Geological Survey scientists took cover under tables on the 8th floor of their building in downtown L.A. Middle school students evacuated classrooms on the very first day back after summer break, and a pipe burst at the Pasadena City Hall, sending water cascading down the side of walls. There are no major damage or injuries reported, but this is the latest in a series of small quakes to hit California recently. In health news at this hour, a new study predicts a disturbing rise in the number of cancer cases and deaths among men. The journal Cancer published the findings, projecting by the year 2050, global cancer cases among men will increase 84%. That's a jump from about 10.3 million to 19 million. And deaths will rise 94%, from 5.4 million to 10.5 million. Older men in developing countries have the highest risk, with the number of cancer deaths for those older than 65 predicted to double. The reasons men have higher cancer risk is possibly increased exposure to things like smoking and drinking and higher occupational contact with carcinogens. On the flip side, healthy eating is one effective way to fight back against diseases like cancer, and fruits and vegetables are at the top of a healthy diet. But the Centers for Disease Control reports only about 12% of adults are eating the recommended amount. As medical reporter Lori Johnson shows us, this is the perfect time of year to boost your intake.
Summer can be a great opportunity to take advantage of fresh fruits and vegetables.
And we need them for vitality, for immunity, for antioxidants to live better every single day.
Nutritionist Jim White recommends washing them right before eating, while some like to use baking soda, vinegar, or even a produce spray. White says simple tap water is all you need.
The big important thing is about 20 seconds. You want to take your time. Some people just run it through really quick, and it just doesn't get enough of the pesticides and the residue off in the dirt.
A produce brush can also help remove any dirt on thicker surfaces. You should still wash a rind you don't plan to eat because bacteria can get transferred to the edible portion, possibly causing illness. Symptoms can include nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea.
Health experts say in a perfect world, all of the fruits and vegetables we consume would be chemical-free. Unfortunately, that's not practical for most of us, so it can be helpful to know which conventionally grown produce contain the highest levels of pesticides and which have the least.
Avocados, sweet corn, and pineapple top the so-called Clean 15 list of foods containing the fewest pesticides. On the other end of the spectrum, strawberries, spinach, and kale top the so-called Dirty Dozen list.
But it doesn't mean food avoidance. I see a lot of times where people get scared to eat fruits and vegetables, then they don't eat it at all.
If organic doesn't fit your budget, White says you can still eat the regular stuff.
But there's a recent study showing that the USDA and FDA does such a great job at working to make sure conventional fruits and vegetables are minimally processed that the difference is negligible.
White adds in many cases, frozen may cost even less.
They freeze them right away and they get set in, so it preserves a lot of nutrients.
Canned is usually the cheapest, which is better than no fruits or vegetables at all.
The one thing we got to watch is the high amount of sodiums and sugar, so I'd recommend to wash some of those in water just to get some of that added sugar and salt off.
So while the way you eat fruits and vegetables can make a difference, the important thing is that you keep them on the menu because most of us need more. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Great advice. Andrew, back to you.
Thanks, Ephraim. We always appreciate Lori's health insights. I was disappointed to see strawberries on the Dirty Dozen list.
I think they're at the top of the list.
You knew
sadly.
that?
Yes, I did. I don't use wash, but I do rinse my
and kale
fruit off. Yeah.
Kale's not a regular part of my diet. I'm sure you're shocked.
It's a regular part of mine.
Have you, over the years, raising kids and grandkids, you often had fruits and vegetables out on the table for everybody? Yeah.
I still do put, you can buy a veggie tray. You can buy a fruit tray for that matter, and they're already prepared. So I still try to do that, just as an option.
Yeah. Now, the story said how only about, I think it was 12% of Americans are getting enough fruit and vegetables. A big problem is cost. I mean, for the average American to stock up on fruits and vegetables, it's expensive and getting worse. Yeah. So people don't eat as well.
It's true. You have to plan, and I'm not very great at that. I'm kind of I'm hungry. What are we going to do right now? Yeah. So planning is worth it, but we should listen to this wise counsel, I think.